Small Town Redditors, what's the weirdest unsolved crime in your town, old or new? 1973, my 4th grade buddy, Guy Heckle, disappeared during a Boy Scout camping trip. They found his coat, that was all. Not another clue after all these years. Holy shit. I was a girls' school summer camp employee, counselor, and we do a week of training before the summer season begins, and we talk about Guy as a cautionary tale, to watch yours kids like a hawk. I don't suppose it makes you feel better to know that his story is keeping kids safe today, all these years later? I found out my grandma played cards with the mob in a liquor store basement. I was reading a news article on a cold case from the former owner disappearing for an English assignment, and my grandma kinda just frowned, told me she used to play cards with him and never paid his debts. I picture this little old lady in reading glasses playing blackjack with a group of men with Italian accents. Story from my grandpa. Small farm town Nebraska is in the 60s. A guy was found, burnt alive in his car, hands wire tied to the steering wheel. It ruled as a suicide. Most of the town assumed that the guy owed gambling debts to some mob in Chicago or the like, and the guy wasn't exactly loved in the small town, so there was no real looking into it. Imagine being that guy. Killed under horrific circumstances. Man, he was a jerk. Who cares? About 30 years ago, a refuse worker found the badly burned body of an 18-month-old boy amongst the bags and recycling. Forensics deduced that due to the condition of his liver he died less than a week before his body was found. Hospital and medical records were used to establish that nobody in the county was missing a child. He doesn't have a name on his gravestone. That's so sad. Poor lad must have had an awful life while alive. In my hometown there was a rich family who were rumored to have gotten their gains during World War II by working with the Japanese forces. They had large estates, mansions, and were just ridiculously rich. One day the entire family disappeared, and their houses and most of their properties were either burned down, destroyed, or missing. No one knows where they went, or if they are even alive. The most likely explanation was that they lost a lot of favors and money, so they either ran away or killed themselves deep in the mountains. They also left large amounts of land which were then given to either their previous owners or new owners. No other family member has returned, and this was about 30 years ago when it happened. A family of about 20, and they just disappeared overnight. Police officer in 1930s responded to a call around midnight on Christmas Day. The wife woke up, and he told her he'd be back. Only that he had disappeared entirely, and did not come home. The car was found abandoned with no indication of his whereabouts. The local theory is that he was murdered, and his body was disposed of in the leather tanning factory. Perfect place to do it, honestly. Tanning is quite the process. Man got kicked out of a bar 3 years ago this December, and went missing. Nobody has come forward with tips at all. He went missing from a fairly busy part of town too. This has happened a number of times in the Boston area. Young able-bodied people, mostly men, disappear from bars or clubs, and are eventually found in the harbor, the river, or another body of water. There's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories, and talk of a serial killer, but it seems to be just a combination of alcohol, the dark, and an unfamiliarity with the area. They make a string of poor choices, wind up too close to the water, then fall in, and drown when there's nobody around to notice. Back in 2001, a friend of my friend had been secretly chatting online with a guy from Canada. They had made plans to meet up in Windsor or Detroit. A few days later, her body was found dumped in the woods. After doing some digging, they got a hold of the Canadian guy. He said he went to meet her, but she never showed, so he assumed she had stood him up. His story checked out. One suspect was his co-worker, but a few months later he did a murder/suicide to his mom, so they could never get the truth out of him. It's been a cold case ever since. The murder-suicide highly suggests it was him. Yeah, he supposedly had other issues, but I don't know the full story. Everything I heard is second/third hand. 2 bodies were found on my island in Southeast Asia in the last 24 hours. One was found in the jungle after being there for a year in an apparent motorbike accident. The other washed up on the beach. Pretty recent, January this year. I'm in a village, so it's even smaller. I live right next to a river, and one day after rain my grandpa went searching for snails, but he found a head still with some flesh. A neighbor had also found an arm around the same time. The police were called. They found the body and a few dogs chewing on it, but it was in a bag hanging from a tree above the river. At first it was assumed it was from the big city thrown into the river, but no, it's hanging from the damn tree. The weirdest thing is that the woman was not from the village itself. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. More videos coming soon.